yeah, thank y'all so much for tuning in on this Thursday evening. Glad to be with you. For the longest time now, we've been doing our shows at noon on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but I decided to rotate it out a little bit because we've had so many people that's reached out and been like, hey, I'd love to see you live, but I'm at work or I'm in a different time zone or whatever the case may be. And so we decided that we would roll in here at 7 p.m. Eastern time and see how it works for you. So we hope everyone is having a good day. It's been a hell of a week, and it's been a hell of a time in the United States since Donald Trump came back in for Trump 2.0. And that's what I've been referring to it as, because it's one of those things where, we all knew it was going to be bad, and we tried to warn them. That's the whole kicker. We tried to warn them. We tried to let them know what was ahead. And sometimes it just came off, like we were a bunch of old men barking at the clouds, I guess, in their world. And so a lot of people couldn't believe that it could be that bad. And I'm amazed at the people who would say things like, well, Brando, I don't think he'd do that. And I'm like, yeah, but he's saying that's what he's going to do. This is what he said he was going to do. Yeah, but I don't think he would. And then the people that says, well, there's checks and balances in place, and he wouldn't be allowed to do those things. And I'm like, you haven't been paying attention clearly, because if you were, you would realize the checks and balances have kind of been done away with. And the guy has immunity, which is a word that no other president has had to use before. But Donald Trump's the first one that came along and was like, hey, I need immunity in order to be able to do my job. And like I've said so many times here on the channel, if you went in to sit down and be hired by anyone out there and said, I'm not going to go by the rule book, don't even bother handing me the handbook, don't even bother worrying about it, because I'm going to have immunity to do my job, you wouldn't get hired nowhere in the United States of America. But somehow this doofus managed to get reelected, and we're going into Trump 2.0. So we got a whole lot to talk about, and I'm going to be rolling some clips for you, which I've never really done before. So this is going to be new, but we're going to have fun doing it. And before we get rolling, though, I want to thank y'all again for tuning in and remind you that, yes, I am over on Blue Sky, and I'm going to go ahead and share this live over there now so that everyone on Blue Sky will come on over and join us. I'm on Substack too, and I've really been enjoying writing pieces on Substack. That has been really fun, because years ago, folks, back in the day, like I'm talking early 2000s, there was some blogging websites back then that I would write blogs on, and even back in the old days of MySpace, the blog section. And so, I was writing my political views all the way back then. And it was funny back then, because it was one of those things where I was a musician that traveled and played, and some people would catch wind of those blogs and walk up to me and go, do you really mean that stuff you was writing on the internet? And I'm like, yeah, I sure did. But I had no idea, going back in time to way back when, that years later we would be here on YouTube, and then we would be writing Substacks. We're definitely evolving and moving right along, so I'm enjoying that. It's kind of cool to bring back that part of myself, and because I always enjoyed writing, and it's kind of a good way to wind down after a long evening. Really, it's one of those things. It's just good to wind down and think about things, because it's different than sitting here talking with y'all or sitting here making a video. Like I've said so many times, when I'm making videos, I don't have a script in front of me unless I'm, reading a news article to you. There's no filler in between. Right now I'm just winging it. I have my notes made as to what clips we're going to roll, but other than that, I'm just winging it. So, it's a different presentation. And then when you sit down late at night and you're pondering the day, or you wake up early in the morning and you're pondering the day of what's ahead, it works out good to be able to write on Substack. So yeah, thanks to Summer for sharing that. I'm Substack at TN Brando. You can find me there. I've really been enjoying it, and so I've wrote some pieces I've really enjoyed. I talked about Beyonce winning the Grammy, and how pissed off that made the bro country world. They actually came out and said, we can't believe somebody cosplayed as a cowgirl. And I'm like, really? You ain't been watching CMT for the last 30 years? Anyway, so I wrote a whole big thing about that. You can go check it out over on Substack. But the theme for today's show and the title is Chaos is not a consequence, chaos is the goal. And that was said by Adam Schiff recently when he spoke on the Senate floor. And I did a video a couple of days ago where I showed Jasmine Crockett, and I said, you know what? I said, we need this kind of fire. We need this kind of energy. We need people who won't back down. I love Jasmine Crockett's tone, but I also think every now and then we need Cool Hand Luke. Every now and then we need that guy that's going to lay back and and just really tell it like it is. And so that's exactly what Adam Schiff does. So we're going to roll the clip and take a look at what Adam had to say. Roll it.
But the chaos is not a consequence of this. The chaos is the goal. The chaos is the purpose. By throwing everything at the wall, they can create confusion. They hope to muddy the waters while opening the floodgates. Unconstitutional executive orders, illegal memos, illegally accessing private citizens' data. You name it. The scope and the speed of these actions is almost impossible to comprehend. And the impact is incalculable. This is all part of a larger effort to consolidate power, every possible power, in the control of one man, well, maybe two men, so they can plunder the country to benefit themselves and their billionaire buddies.
And how many times here on the channel have I used the phrase create confusion and muddy the water? As he was sitting there saying it, I was like, dang, he's been reading my mind, because that's what I've been saying for so long. That's the goal. I have so many of my friends reach out to me and they'll say things like, Brando, do you think they're distracting us from something bigger? Is there something bigger out there that they're distracting us from, that they're doing behind closed doors? I'm like, no, they're doing it all right out in the open, right in front of our faces. It's just that Donald Trump has appointed this cabinet of clowns and this cabinet of chaos, and they're all just tearing shit up, and that's the whole point. So we can sit here all day long, and we can point to their immoral values and the fact that they have no morals and values. We can point out what garbage humans that they are. That doesn't matter to MAGA. It doesn't matter to Donald Trump, because it's about being loyal to Donald Trump. And we can point out that they're completely unqualified. They don't know how to do that job. That doesn't matter. So it doesn't matter, because the whole thing is loyalty to Donald Trump. And speaking of loyalty to Donald Trump, if you listen to his talking heads, they're all repeating the exact same talking points. And this clip right here is absolutely comical, because you can tell they've had a meeting and decided how they're going to spin it. Take a look.
Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results.
The definition of insanity is attempting to do the same thing over and over and over again. And as the President and Prime Minister pointed out last night,
as our defense secretary said famously today, Pete Hegseth, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again.
President Trump is an outside-of-the-box thinker and a visionary leader who solves problems that many others, especially in this city, claim are unsolvable.
the President is willing to think outside the box.
We might as well look at one of the world's longest problems and bring in a leader who thinks outside the box, who's crazy, may just be crazy genius.
You know, that's absolutely hilarious, because I can't count the times that someone will say to me, I bet you're getting paid to say that. I bet Midas Touch tells you what to say. I bet Ben Marcellus hands you a script and tells you what to read to everybody. And honestly, that has never happened. I have never had talking points gave to me, bullet points gave to me, nothing. The only thing we've ever done is just simply shared stories with each other, like, hey, did you see this shit? Can you believe this happened? That kind of thing. But no one has ever sat and told me what to say. No one has ever came up with my, I don't know if you want to call them catchphrases or whatever the hell we would call them here on the channel. Whatever you've heard me say, I just winged it sitting here in a chair. And sometimes I would notice the comment section would light up and be like, you know, hey, we love that, put it on a shirt. And we've done that a time or two. You know, that's happened. But no one is sitting here feeding me those talking points, yet they clearly are feeding them to all of Trump's loyalists. I mean, that's what they're all about, is being loyal to him and just repeating after him. And the whole thing is sickening to watch. I mean, we definitely have a whole lot of chaos going on in this country. But by the same token, it's not just about the chaos. It's just about how disheartening the whole thing is to realize just how uneducated people truly are. I did not realize just how stupid people really are. I mean, and I'm not trying to sound condescending, because, you know, I talk with a lot of my friends. We talk all day about these things, and we'll say we're going to get away from politics and not talk politics anymore, and then we wind up talking politics some more. But one of my good friends, he goes by Superman Todd over on TikTok. Got a pretty good following over there. If you've never followed Todd, be sure to. I've had him on the show a time or two. I need to get him back for sure. But Todd always says, "Man, I just consider myself a dude of average intelligence. I'm not some genius, but I can see through this." And we've talked a whole lot about, and we've talked about it here live before, how we feel like we're on the movie Idiocracy. And for those of you that have never seen that movie, it's where they just took a dude of average intelligence, nothing special about the guy, and they froze him in time. And the idea was they was going to come back a couple of years later, and they were going to see, how time had evolved, and how he would react to time evolving. But then there was something went wrong, and things went south, and he ended up being frozen in time for 500 years. And so that movie was made in 2005, or I think it came out in 2005. And then, according to the script, he gets bumped up to the year 2505. And so now he gets there. When he does, the world is just, destroyed and gone. And there's no crops, there's nothing. Everybody's dumber than a box of rocks. And the whole planet just looks like one big garbage dump. And the president of the United States is a guy that used to be a porn star and a wrestler. I mean, is it sounding familiar for those of you that never seen the movie? Here's the funny part. I didn't see that movie back when it came out. I had heard about it, and I'd heard people talk about it, and I kind of knew the premise of what it was, but I'd never sat through it. And then when Hulk Hogan came out and ripped off his shirt at the RNC, then immediately people started making references to that movie. And so I was actually on the Voice of Reason podcast, and it's like, "You've never saw Idiocracy?" I was like, "Not all the way through. I mean, I know what it is, but I've not saw it all the way through." Go watch it. Well, the funny thing is, when you watch it now, all these years later, you watch it, it's like a documentary. It's like a prophecy. It's really spooky as to where we're at. And like I said, I think the most disheartening part is just, people not knowing how government works or was supposed to work. And then not only that, but they don't have respect for it. They do not give a shit. That's the thing. They sat back, they watched a steady diet of reality shows. They saw Donald Trump on those reality shows. They saw him say, "You're fired." And they think that that's the way that the world is ran, because they didn't learn how the government worked. They didn't sit and read a book and try to, learn anything. And I'm sure a lot of you can relate to this, but a lot of this stuff, I'll be honest with you, a lot of this stuff, I didn't even learn it in school. A lot of this stuff I learned on my own just because I was interested in it, wanted to read about it, learn about it, and understand it. And I just had no idea how many people in this world didn't do the same. I really took for granted just how many people did not do the same. And so here we are, we're in the middle of Trump 2.0, and now everything that these people said they were voting for, all the reasons they said they were voting for, they're not getting any of it. None of it is happening. All we're getting is this chaos, and then we're sitting back watching these people try to just sit and explain it away. And so in this next clip, Jim McGovern talks about that, how that, they're not getting what they voted for. All they're getting is chaos. Take a look.
What is the story of what they're doing here? How does this all fit together? And it fits together in this way. This is an effort to try to consolidate power, all the power of this government, in the hands of Donald Trump.
My Republican friends like to talk about America first. Again, I mean, look at the front page of the New York Times today. Trump proposing takeover of Gaza.
What is the story of what they're doing here? How does this all fit together? And it fits together.
My Republican friends like to talk about America first. Again, I mean, look at the front page of the New York Times today. Trump proposing takeover of Gaza as U.S. territory. I got to tell you, people voted for lower egg prices, not for a Middle East Mar-a-Lago. People did not vote to send their sons and daughters into the tunnels of Gaza so that Jared Kushner and Donald Trump can build Trump Tower Gaza. That's not what they voted for. I mean, people want to talk about issues. They want us to deal with issues that are going to impact their everyday life, lower the cost of living. And in the first weeks, we have seen nothing from this president or the Republican majority here to deal with that.
Yep, we saw none of that. All the things that they said they wanted to vote for, they're not getting it. And now, after talking about putting America first, now the best they're going to get is Trump Tower in Gaza. Now, the one thing about this 7 o'clock show that's different from the previous ones is I now have a producer. I'm moving on up in the world. And so I'm the one that put these clips in order. And I accidentally left an Adam Schiff clip in there that I decided not to use. And so that's why that suddenly that one began playing, because I said roll the clip and they were in order. And so, yeah, I'm moving on up. You know, it's like Joe Rogan says, Jamie, pull it up. That's where we're at. And so we're getting the hang of it. We're learning the ropes. But yeah, like Jim McGovern said there, you know, it's just one of those things where they all thought they were getting this, and now they're getting this chaos. And I can't imagine, you know, what it would be like. You know, I'm just a person who I hold people to account as to what they say. I hold politicians to account as to what they say. I realize that not all politicians are perfect. I realize that that they're not all they don't all have it together. I've never sat here and told you that Joe Biden was perfect. I never said Kamala Harris was perfect. I didn't think Barack Obama was perfect. Bill Clinton, which I didn't vote for Bill Clinton. I was old enough to vote when I voted for Al Gore. But I've never thought that a Democrat was perfect. But I can tell you this much: if Obama had have ran on, you know, health care, and then one day just got in and said, hey, we're just going to abolish it altogether, and I'm not even going to show you this plan, I would have said something. I would have been like, hey, wait a minute, this is not what I voted for, you know? And so it's amazing to me that people can sit back and they can sit back and they can watch a guy like that just absolutely do nothing that he promised, and yet goes against everything they said along the way. That's the funny part too. He goes against everything he said. And I would just love to go back in time. When it comes to this whole thing about Gaza and him saying he wants to own it, I would like to go back in time, and I would like to talk to all the ministers that helped raise me back when I was a kid. If I could go back in time and say to those ministers, you know what? One day there's going to be a billionaire come along. And this billionaire is going to have no moral character whatsoever. He is going to talk down to women. He's going to brag about groping women. He's going to make fun of the disabled. He's going to make fun of prisoners of war. This guy is just going to be a complete and total slimeball. And then he's going to get into office. He's going to get voted out in a free and fair election, but then he's going to incite a riot on our nation's capital. And then he's going to be found liable of sexual abuse. He's going to become a 34-time convicted felon. He's going to defame the victim. I mean, if I went down that big, long list of things that person was going to do, and I went down that big, long list of things, and then I said, oh, and by the way, he's going to then get back in and say, I'm going to own Gaza. I'm going to put and Nancy Mace came out and made a post about, we'll turn Gaza into Mar-a-Lago. If I could go back in time and tell the ministers that raised me, if I could be like, hey, you know, this is what's going to happen, they would have absolutely lost their minds. They would have been dragging me to that altar and begging me to repent. But they rolled right with this crap. They rolled right with it. And, you know, to everyone that made this their hot, you know, their hot topic, hot button issue, and a lot of people probably, you know, stayed home. A whole lot of people, you know, may have wrote in third parties because they didn't think that Joe Biden or Kamala was doing enough on the subject of Gaza. It's like, is this the solution? Is this it? You know, it's to remove 2 million people. I mean, like Bernie Sanders said, it's ethnic cleansing. It's crazy that this is happening, and they're sitting back. And honestly, I do keep tabs on X. I try to see what's going on over there. And when you go over there and you see how they're spinning all this stuff, it'll make your head spin. It'll actually hurt your head to watch this shit. Because when you log on to X, if you log on and start to go down that news feed, at the top of the feed is going to be Elon Musk every time, or Trump. One of those two. It's usually going to be Elon. Is going to pop up. Boom. And then you're going to see Alex Jones, and then you're going to see Trump, and you're going to see Tim Pool, and you're going to see all of that. And the way they are painting this crap is as though it's the second American Revolution. You know, they're painting it like Elon is just getting in there and he's dismantling all this stuff, and they're cheering for it. They're cheering for all this stuff. And I'm like, do you not realize how this is going to come back to haunt you? Do you not see that the government was supposed to be for the people and by the people? Not one guy, not one billionaire. Everything that they ever said and warned us about, everything that they ever said and warned us about, they became. and then they try to explain it away. And people like us sits back and tries to make sense out of it, and it's not the easiest thing to do. It's really not, because you're dealing with people who have denounced all reason. And which founding father was it said it? I know Boyd Crowder said this on Justified, but I think it was Thomas Paine or one of those guys that said to try to talk to someone who has denounced reason is like trying to administer medicine to the dead. That's exactly how it feels this day and age. But again, I want to thank y'all so much for being here with me. I appreciate everyone for tuning in on this Thursday. And like I said, I've got a producer now, so we're rolling clips and we're trying things new and seeing how it works. And so we're going to have fun with that. But before we do, I want to make sure that I thank everyone who has sent me super stickers and things of that nature, became new members. I want to say a shout out to Heidi and to Coco Cook for becoming new members. Also, I want to say thanks to Jeanette for the super sticker. Here in Denmark, people have started to share with American companies can be boycotted. Thank you for that, Jeanette. I really appreciate that. Also, shout out to Oak Knob Farm. Thank you for that one. Also, thanks to Christy. Wish Brando had a join button for his membership. I thought that I did. I've had several people, I'm glad you brought this across, because I have had several people ask me where the join button is, and then when I ask other friends of mine, they say they see it. So let me know who's seeing the join button and who isn't, because I have had friends tell me it's not there. And so I don't know what's up with that, because it shows up on my end, and I've asked my friends, and it shows up on theirs. There's some people who are saying it's on the left side. Carla says she can see it. So, but I have got messages from people who have told me they're not seeing it. So I'm not sure why that's happening. Sorry that it is. But I thank you for that super sticker. Also, thanks to Prices on the Rise, blame the bootlickers. How do you like my name? There you go. It's a great name. Also, thanks to Debbie, who gifted 5 Tennessee Brando memberships. I really appreciated that. And if you're one of the people that got one of the free memberships that Debbie gifted to you, one of the perks is you'll get my videos early. That is, if I'm on top of things and I get things out in time, then you will definitely get them first. I always try to make sure they hit the airwaves a little bit first. So thank you, Debbie, for gifting that, and welcome to everyone who got one. Also, shout out to Stephanie for the super sticker. And thank you so much to Rachel, Trans Women from Ohio. Keep it up, Tennessee Brando. Thank you for that. I really appreciate it. And I'm glad to see you were able to make it here at 7 p.m. and noon. I've seen some of the regulars from noon here, and so that's really cool that it works out both ways for y'all. And then thanks to GB for becoming a new member, and also thanks to Katie for the super sticker. I really do appreciate it. And again, hope everyone is doing well and having a good Thursday. Now, I do want to remind y'all that I do have some new items in the merch store. So I'm going to go over here and share this screen real quick and show you what we got going on. So we've got the store fourth wall that is up now, and our featured products at the moment. We've brought back the old favorite, I Refuse to Be Gaslit. That one is now on fourth wall. You can get it in a hoodie or a shirt. But here is the new image that we have. We Are the Resistance. I want to shout out and thanks to Sarah for making that one. That's a new one that's in our store, and here you can see it. That's what we have to be at this point, folks. We just have to stand up to this and be the resistance. And so check out those shirts. We also have the TNB, the Tennessee Brando hoodie. So if you go over and check out Fourth Wall, I'm going to be adding some more items to that. Because you can put it on damn near anything. It's pretty crazy. You can put it on a tumbler. You can put it on a mouse pad. It's pretty much a shower curtain. If anybody wants a Tennessee Brando shower curtain, I don't know who in their right mind would, but there's somebody out there that would. So there we go. And yeah, we're going to have music merch that's going to be coming soon. Thank you, Summer, for reminding me of that. Yeah, it's getting to the point now where I have to have a team of people around me to prop me up to remind me what I'm supposed to be doing next. It's like, okay, 500,000 people, over 500,000 now, subscribe to this channel. It's pretty nuts. 500, and let me refresh this. So 564,522 people. It's truly amazing, and I never would have thought back when I put that plaque on the wall. I got that. We hit 100,000 back in late March of last year, I think, right at the start of April, and I ended up getting that plaque around May. And so we'll get a gold one whenever we hit 1 million. And so that's the next step. And I really appreciate you so much for being with me and making this possible. I just literally one day sat down on a chair. I literally just sat down on a chair to. I was actually sitting outside. I've told a story before, but I was sitting outside, and Tyler Childers had just made the album Long Violent History, which I got it hanging on the wall behind me for that reason, because I really wouldn't be here without that album. That's the album that got this whole thing started, because what happened was back in 2020, when Tyler Childers made that album, and if you've never heard his music, go out of your way to find it if you just love authentic country music. When Tyler made that album, it's an all instrumental fiddle album, but at the very end of that album is the song Long Violent History, and he discusses police brutality, which we were talking about a lot back then. And then he put out a video called A Message from Tyler, and he explained the song. He said, this is one of those songs, you can't really write this and put it out into the world without letting people know exactly where you stood. Well, of course, when he did that, and he asked people in my part of the world to just think about it from another perspective, or think about being in another man's shoes, so many people just absolutely lost their minds, like, Tyler's went woke, we're going to cancel Tyler. And so I was just sitting in a lawn chair, and I typed out this big, long-winded Facebook post, which now could be a Substack. I mean, it could have easily been a Substack note now, but back then we didn't have that. And so I typed out this big, long-winded Facebook post, and when I got to the end, I was like, nobody's going to read this. Nobody gives a shit. They'll see that see more button, and they'll scroll on past it. Nobody's going to read it. And I'm probably just going to piss off the few people that, comes to my shows, and that'll be the end of it. So I really didn't think anything about it. Well, I deleted it. I just discarded it and sat there for a while. But I'm sitting there, and I'm just like, I really wanted to say that. Like, I really wanted to say. All right, hopefully I'm back. We have been having some internet issues here at the house, and so there is a good chance that maybe that's what happened. I was just sitting here, and all of a sudden the studio just closed, and I was back at the homepage of StreamYard. So we have been having some internet earlier when I was recording some videos. I had to stop a time or two because the internet kept kicking off and on, but I'm back. So anyway, I don't know where it cut off in the middle of that story, but we made it. I don't know where I was. I was talking about Tyler. And so I wrote this big long-winded Facebook post, and then I said to myself, no one's going to read that. And I deleted it. And then I sat there and said to myself, no, I really wanted to say that. And so when I just decided to make a video, I was sitting there, my grill was in front of me, and I looked over, and I didn't have a phone stand, so I just picked up a brick that was laying by the grill, set it up on top of it, propped up my phone, talked into my phone, uploaded it to YouTube, and the rest is history. Here we are. So yeah, someone just said there are tornado warnings in Tennessee. Dang, that's all we need. That's all we need at this point, which the weather did get kind of rough here last night. I was kind of woke up by it at one point. But yeah, someone said it must be Starlink. Who knows? I've had so many people lately been asking me, some people don't see the join button. Some people says that my audio comes and goes. Some people say, who knows what's happening in this crazy world that we got going on. But we're going to keep standing up. The thing about it is, I really do that saying, we are the resistance, to me, that's more than a t-shirt. It truly is. It's more than that. So that's what we truly have to be. We have to be we have to be the resistance. We have to stand up to it. And I truly believe that there are more of us than there are of them. And I know a lot of people say, oh, it ain't true. We lost the election. But you got to look at it this way. And I may not have the numbers exactly right on this, but when someone says half the country voted for Trump, over half the country, no, they didn't. Over half the country did not vote for Donald Trump. There was like, what is there, 350 million people in this country? 75 voted for him and 73 voted for Kamala. And so it's like, no, that's not half the country at all. And so, we have to remember that I really believe there's more reasonable people at the end of the day. I know it's hard to see that in the middle of all this chaos, but I truly do believe that that we can make it, that we can resist this and we can make it and we can come out the other side. But I'm going to play you a clip here from a guy named Brian Schatz, because he actually breaks this down. This is one of the best clips that I have seen about Elon and the whole taking over the Treasury. So let's take a look at this one. Roll it.
Are depending on some sort of sense of swagger and inevitability to storm into buildings and take over the servers and to run the databases and to relieve people of their duties like this is some hostile takeover of a tech company. This is your government. And you can hate parts of it and love parts of it and be neutral about other parts of it, but it's still your government. And the way a person expresses their views about spending is by electing a member of Congress who believes what they believe. And so if anyone in the Trump administration wants to modify the spending law that was enacted, you gotta come back to Congress and modify the law that was enacted. This is not some minor transgression. This is an illegal act. They stormed into buildings. They shut down agencies illegally. And sure, first it was USAID. But they are now systematically going into the Small Business Administration, the Department of the Treasury, and they will not stop until they believe they have total control over spending. And that's not the way the American system of government is supposed to work.
I'm so glad that someone put it that eloquently. I'm so glad that someone said it out loud that plain. You couldn't get any more plainer than that. There's a lot of people, like I said, if you go over on X and you listen to how they're spinning this, they're spinning it like it's the Second American Revolution, and that's not the case at all. Anyone that knows how government works knows that this whole thing is illegal to begin with. And Elon Musk spent all of his time talking about unelected officials, and now that's exactly what he is, and just thinks he can go in there and go past all of the checks and balances, go past the way the system works, and just dismantle everything. And there's people sitting back cheering this on, not realizing they're going not only against their own interest, but the interest of the entire country. Everything, I mean, when you think about all that this guy could end up having his hands on, and Trump is set back letting him do it, because let's be realistic about it, the only reason that Trump took his money was to stay out of jail. Donald Trump was not running to be president again. They'll try to spin it this way, and this is one of my biggest pet peeves, is when Trump supporters will say, he didn't need the money, man. He just loved his country. He's a rich dude. He could have just been sitting on a yacht somewhere. You are a special breed of dumbass if you believe that. You really are. That is like beyond anything I've ever heard. It's like, no, this guy ran. I really think the first time around he was kind of like the dog that caught the car. I don't mean to blame this on Obama, but when you go back to the time that Obama roasted Trump, I think it kind of started right there, like, I'll show them, I'll run for president. And then I think he was kind of like the dog that caught the car. I think he was just sort of going to strengthen his brand and maybe get another reality show out of the deal, and then realized, oh shit, I actually got it. And then his ego was so huge that he couldn't bring himself to admit that he lost an election. And so now here we are in Trump 2.0. And he learned his lesson the first go around, and he's decided this go around to make sure that he surrounds himself by yes men and by loyalists. But it's not how the system was supposed to work. And it really, when people talks about what a great leader or great negotiator he is, no. If you don't understand how to work within the parameters of something, again, I just go back and I try to bring it down as simple as I can. I know when I got jobs at factories around here, I wasn't able to walk in and just lay waste to every safeguard that was put in place. He doesn't know how to run it, but the people thinks, oh yeah, Elon's doing it. He's doing a good job. And I'm just so glad that was a really good clip there from Brian Schatz. I mean, what they did is illegal. What they're doing is illegal. That's not how the process works. If you want to do it by the American way. I mean, we're supposed to be a democracy, and we have completely fell away from that. And I will never understand the people who are cheering this on, not realizing that these things can come back to bite you. If you are okay with somebody being a dictator, you got to understand that you're never going to be able to speak out against that person. You're never going to be able to rock the boat. And we have seen what's happened when MAGA has tried rocking the boat. We have seen what Elon has done to the people on MAGA. He immediately starts demonetizing them. He immediately starts shutting them down. He immediately starts banning them, and then he'll make excuses for why he did it. But we all know why he did it. I mean, this guy came right out and told them that he would F them in the face. I mean, he came right out and said it to MAGA people who were upset at him over the visas. He was like, oh, well, F you in the face over this one. And Donald Trump never came to their aid. Just like, oh, well, Elon, he doesn't like one of the guys in the deal. Elon will say what he wants to say. You're going to let Elon talk to your followers that way? Donald Trump doesn't care, because he got over that finish line. He made it. He got over the hump. And now he doesn't need his followers anymore. And that's why that at the inauguration, he had all of his rich billionaire buddies up there with a front row seat, and all of his followers were standing out in the cold. And that's pretty much the best preview that I can think of for the next 4 years. We're going to see his followers left out in the cold, and they don't even realize it yet. It's so sad to sit back and watch people fall for this crap over and over again. But again, it just goes back to they didn't know how the system was supposed to work. They didn't know what the government was about. They never read a history book. And here we are. I guess all the references that I made to 1930s Germany went over people's head that was asleep in history class. And so unfortunately, here we are. And here I am in blood red Tennessee. And I do have some friends who live in blue states. And I talk to them all the time, and they're amazed and blown away with the stuff that happens here in Tennessee. Last week, I got to go attend the special sessions that Bill Lee pulled together. And to see it up close and in person was something completely different. It's one thing to sit here and read it in the news and watch it on TV and watch it on the internet. That's one thing. But to see Tennessee lawmakers in action and see how lopsided the game is, I've told people for so long, if you want to know what Project 2025 is all about, look no further than Tennessee. We're laying the blueprint for that. And Governor Lee was able to push through his voucher scam, which is going to really hurt taxpayers and hurt education. And then he had his controversial immigration bill, which they pretty much came out and said that no one was even allowed to vote against. And so they're not going to be able to vote against Trump's immigration policy. If they do, they could potentially face a Class E felony. There was also told that if they voted for sanctuary cities or tried to offer any help to immigrants, they could be hit with felonies. We're talking about telling lawmakers you can't vote. And then they sit back and say, well, they can't do that. They won't let him do that, folks. They're absolutely doing that. And, Tennessee was bold and brazen before. They were bold and brazen before Trump got reelected. But now that, in their words, Daddy's home, now that he's back, they're just absolutely going for it. And they feel more empowered now than ever to say, oh, screw you. We're going to bring this up and you're not going to vote against it. And so, again, we just have to be the resistance. We have to keep standing up to this. We have to keep calling it out. It's not going to be easy. But we do have to keep pushing forward. But I've got a video that's going to be coming out tomorrow. So for those of you that got a membership gifted to you today, just keep an eye out for it. It'll be hitting members only here before probably the night's over. But there are some lawmakers here in Tennessee that are moving for the legalization of marijuana. And that should get the trolls' attention. It truly should. To anyone trolling me at this point, anyone upset, mad, whatever, of all the things I'm saying, I'm pretty sure that we could probably come to an agreement on this one. And notice I didn't tell you which lawmakers did it. I didn't say if it was a Democrat or Republican, because the truth is the majority of Tennesseans are for this. 63%, by the way, are for legalization of marijuana. And so a representative by the name of Afton Bain came up with a pot for potholes bill. That's actually what it's called. This is actually, I think we need to pay close attention to this. This may be the way that we come together. So roll the clip.
What are some creative ways? What are some new revenue streams that we could try out in Tennessee? And one of those was legalizing pot. So I decided to name the bill Pot for Potholes, in which we legalize the sale of marijuana, tax it at 15%, and 75% of that revenue goes to the General Highway Fund.
Now, a draft of the new state report shows Tennessee needs $78 billion to address all of its infrastructure needs. That is a $10 billion increase from last year's report. Bain is hoping her colleagues are open to using marijuana to help pay for it. And she points to public approval as a reason why others should get on board.
And the last Vanderbilt poll of 2024 released in December found 63% of voters support recreational legalization, with only 36% against the other.
So yeah, I'm pretty sure that a lot of us could come together on this issue. If you think about the fact that Tennessee has got $78 billion in infrastructure ahead of them, there's got to be ways to pay for it. And you always hear the Republicans say, who's going to pay for it? Well, wouldn't it be nice if we use some of that money and all of us just relax for a little while? All of us kind of calm down for a minute. I really believe that, we may be able to actually find ways that we can come together. And that's one bill that 63% of the people are in favor of. And it's also something, see, this is the thing. What a lot of people don't understand is that here in Tennessee, there are certain initiatives that they won't allow to be on a ballot, like raising the minimum wage. They won't let that be on the ballot. They won't let legalizing cannabis be on the ballot. They won't let paid family leave, which 84% of Tennesseans are for. They won't let those things be on the ballot, so we're not allowed to vote for them. So here we are as Democrats, progressives, liberals, whatever you want to call us. Here we are with the better ideas and with the ideas that are more popular, but we have been demonized so much by the right. They have absolutely demonized us to no end, to the point that people have lost sight of who's actually working for them and who's not. Again, I'm not saying that the Democrats are perfect, but I have a feeling that if more people out there could understand, hey, you know what? Democrats in Tennessee are actually, they're actually going to bat for me. They've got my ideas. What they don't understand, you've never been given a chance to even vote for these things. And if it was on the ballot and there was no D or no R beside anyone's name, because here's the problem, if I'm sitting here and I bring up a Democratic politician, well, I can't believe that they say, but if the initiative was on the ballot, these people would go for it. They would be for it. They don't realize that the Republicans here in Tennessee are standing in the way of things that they want to see accomplished. They're just finding ways to blame it on Democrats. And that's the hurdle we have to get over. We have the better ideas. We have the more popular ideas, but we've not been able to connect with people because we've been up against this giant propaganda machine before Elon ever came along and got a hold of Twitter, before Trump ever came along. We have been up against this giant propaganda machine that has been going for 30 or 40 years. This thing has just been building and gaining more and more momentum. I go back to my childhood. I go back to when I started hearing more and more politics work its way into the churches. And, I had a friend visit from California recently, came out here and was like, hey, what the hell? I've never seen so many churches in one spot. You can drive, and no joke, I know people think that I'm being sarcastic, but you can literally take a 10-minute drive from where I'm sitting in any direction. And if you drive for 10 minutes, you're going to pass at least 5 churches. I know that sounds like a ridiculous thing to say. It's the truth. And so people are just brought up in this part of the world, and they've got ministers in the pulpit preaching the politics and telling them that Democrats are baby killers, and Democrats are evil, and Democrats are trying to tear down everything. Democrats are going to take your guns. That's another big one. And so I have never met a Democrat who said that they were for the government going around confiscating everybody's guns for some big roundup of the guns. I've never met a Democrat that said that. I've also never met a Democrat that said they were for abortion. I've never met anyone that said, yeah, I think that's a great idea. That's not what they're saying at all. What they're saying is a woman should have a right to choose what she does with her own body. It should be between her and her doctor and nobody else. So when they say these arguments like, well, we'll just kick it back to the states. No. No, I don't care if you kick it back to the States. I don't care if you kick it back to the little town. I don't care if you kick it back to the family dinner table. The only person that should make that decision is the woman herself. Not no dude at the dinner table, not no mayor, not no governor, no one. No man should be in a woman's doctor's office telling her what she can and can't do. That's what people like us believe. But we've been dubbed baby killers. We've been dubbed the scum of the earth. And we're over here. I can't count the people that I see always talking about how that I can't make it, man. You know, they don't pay me enough to work here. Well, if they put raising the wage on the ballot, you'd vote for it, wouldn't you? But you're not going to vote for it because a Democrat said it. But that's what we're up against. And when I talk about that propaganda machine, it ain't just Joe Rogan, it ain't just Elon Musk and Twitter. It's every church in this Bible Belt. It's every one of them preaching this crap as loud as they can from the pulpit. And this last clip that we're going to roll for you here today, this pretty much sums it up. This guy's name is Jared Huffman. I think he's from California. But what we're seeing in Tennessee here, it's more, there is absolutely a Christian nationalist agenda behind it. Take a look at this.
Grift in this privatization of public education, but there's also a Christian nationalist agenda very much embedded in it. This has been something they've been gunning for a long, long time. It enables them to indoctrinate, to fuse their particular religion with our government in ways that would make our founders roll in their graves. So that's why I'm wearing the Build This Wall button today, the wall between church and state that Madison and Jefferson and our other founders thought we should have. But they are rolling in their grave today because upstairs today we had a national prayer breakfast where our statuary hall was hijacked and turned into a church service where amazingly Donald Trump presided in weird and random ways, and we'll be burning sage for months because of that.
They're going to need plenty of sage if Donald Trump had anything to do with that. And actually, I think every church in my part of the world, and not necessarily every church, I know someone's going to chime in and say, Brando, our church don't go for that. But there are so many churches around me that needs a lot of sage burned in them over all of the crazy ass things that they've said and the crazy ass things that they've got behind. Again, if I could just go back in time and show these ministers that raised me and preached to me and used to try to make me feel guilty for playing Waylon Jennings covers at the Mustang Lounge in Tazewell. It's like, really? Like, I'm going to die and go to hell for that? And yet you have sat here and backed this dude that is like the absolute epitome of Satan. And the funny thing is when me and Brian, who's been helping me roll these clips, when me and Brian was in Nashville, I'm agnostic, Brian's atheist, and we're sitting there and we're trying to take all this stuff in that we're seeing. And Brian looks over at me and he's like, you know what, man, I really don't even believe in the Bible. I'm an atheist, but I'm kind of starting to believe that the book of Revelation might have some truth to it. And I was like, yeah, it's one of those things where, yeah, that's kind of how it's starting to feel. I mean, it's funny if we end up becoming believers, it'll be because they went so far off the script, they jumped the shark so bad that the rest of us had to bring it back to normal. And that's the thing. I have met people who says out, hey, I'm an atheist, and they're some of the best people I've ever met in the world. And then the people who are in the church pews every Sunday are sitting there going along with this brand of Christianity that Donald Trump now is like this face of. And the same ministers that used to get up and just rake Bill Clinton over the coals. I mean, they would just hammer him to death for his personal life. And I'm not saying that Bill Clinton's a hero or should be on the Wheaties box. I don't think that at all. But they sat there and they just raked this guy over the coals and talked about how immoral he was and we needed a man with good morals and values. And okay, they gave us George W. Bush, who was an idiot, but at least I can believe that he was took to church on Sunday when he was a kid. At least I do believe George W. Bush could probably name you one verse out of the Bible, but Trump can't. And said that he doesn't know why he would bring God into that part of his life when it comes to forgiveness. That's the funniest part to me. The funniest part was when he literally said, they asked him if he ever asked forgiveness. He said, well, I don't bring God into that part of my life. Every church that I ever went to, whether it was Baptist, Pentecostal, Holiness, Methodist, whatever you name, they all told me that I had to bring God into that part of my life. That was the whole premise. That was the whole selling point, was you have to bring forgiveness. You have to bring God into that part of your life. You have to ask Jesus to forgive you. You have to accept him as your son. But I really believe that if I ever interviewed Donald Trump, I could probably work him until he would eventually say, "I like saviors that didn't get nailed to the cross." I mean, I could see him saying that, and I could see ministers of my part of the world going, "Well, yeah, yeah, man, I agree." It's so crazy how fast they was able to sell themselves out. It's truly disgusting how fast they was able to sell themselves out. But real quickly before we go here, before we wrap up this special edition Thursday evening show, and we'll try this for a while and see how it goes by doing noon Eastern on Tuesdays and then 7 Eastern on Thursdays. We'll see how it goes for a while. Let me see where I left off. So yeah, I remember. Yeah, I left off right about in here. So let's say thanks to Boo Boo Romero for becoming a new YouTube member. Thank you so much. Also thanks to Tammy who gifted a Tennessee Brando membership. Shout out to Pat Long for becoming a new YouTube member, and to Stephanie became a new YouTube member. Also thanks to Beverly Lowe for the super sticker. Love you so much. Keep hanging on. I will, and you do the same. Keep hanging on. Let's keep working together, and let's keep resisting this tyranny and that we're facing now. Also, thanks to Denise Strong for the super sticker. I appreciate it. Thanks to Marcy for becoming a new member. Also, thanks to Krista Hines for becoming a member for 8 months. Thank you for bringing a light in the darkness. I appreciate it, and hopefully, maybe if we could ever get Tennesseans to get behind a pot for potholes, we could definitely bring some light to the darkness. Also, thank you to Susan. Says thank you for your continued efforts for our sanity. Thank you. I'm trying to keep mine. That's all I can say. I'm really trying to keep mine. And I hope everyone, I always tell people, it just seems like the thing to say at the end of the videos now. Take care of yourself, take care of your mental health. I catch myself saying that so much because there's just so much chaos going on. Also, thanks to Myrna for becoming a new YouTube member. And thanks to It's Me, Shay 80. Brando, we appreciate you for being here with us. Well, I appreciate you for being here with me. And here comes my tongue twister. Griffless for gifting. I did it. 5 Tennessee Brando memberships. Thank you so much. Does it ever show? And I truly appreciate you so much for that. Also, thanks to Jamie Thomas for becoming a member for 10 months. Brando, I hope you know how much we appreciate you. Well, I hope you know how much I appreciate you. And thanks for becoming a member for 10 months. Hope you enjoy it. Also, thanks to Sally. PBS YouTube is showing daily Democratic representatives and senators press conferences. Over 33 lawsuits versus Trump administration has been filed so far. And, you know, I follow Michael Popak on Midas Touch, not just because, you know, I'm part of the Midas Touch Network, but because the guy knows what he's talking about, and he always does a good job of breaking down those cases and those lawsuits. And, yeah, I've seen videos of him talking about, you know, this is what the Trump 2.0 is going to be. It's just going to be one lawsuit after another. And so also thanks to, not sure how to pronounce that, but thank you for becoming a new YouTube member. Also thanks to Linda for becoming a new one. Thank you to Grace. Thanks for all you do, Brando. Thank you for being here. Thanks to Alexander the Resurrection. What do you think of Trump's plan for Gaza? I think it's insane. I think it's truly crazy. And like I said earlier in the show, I can't believe that we're even here and having this conversation, to be honest with you. Also, thanks to Grace for the super sticker. Thanks to Kim for the super sticker. Thanks to Wayne for becoming a new member. And thanks to D.E. Johnson for becoming, well, wait, hold on, there's more. Thank you to Wayne also for becoming a member. Thank you, Wayne, for becoming a new member, and thank you for listening. I hope that everyone has a great rest of your evening, and I want to say a shout out to the Vol Queen and to Summer for moderating. A shout out to Sarah for coming up with the We Are the Resistance logo that's now available on our merch store, and shout out to my buddy Brian who's in the other room. Producing, you know, I kind of got a little jealous of Joe Rogan going, Jamie, pull it up. But now I've got Brian to pull it up. So here we go. Also, shout out and thank you so much to Stella for the super sticker. I'm trying to catch them as they leave. Thanks to Linda for the super sticker. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate y'all and your support. It does mean a lot to me. So many of you say that I help keep you sane. I want you to know that you help keep me sane because, you know, knowing that I've got an audience that's listening, I'm very fortunate to have that, and I don't take it lightly. I've got a good following across all the platforms that's out there, and as long as we can hold on to them, and they don't start cutting us off. I mean, a while ago when we lost connection, someone's like, "Elon got him." As long as stuff like that don't happen, then we'll be here and we'll keep growing it and we'll keep building it. I got to sit and talk with country singer and songwriter Margot Price. Had a great time talking with her, and that was what she said. And we got to build better communities and stronger communities, and just continue to lift each other up. Right now, we don't have a president that's fighting for us. We have one that's working against us. We have one that has turned us over to his billionaire buddies and left his own voters out in the cold. And we just have to keep standing up for it and standing up against it. It's one of those things that we can't let go of our principles. We can't let go of what we believe. And I don't buy into this idea that, they won in a landslide. So they didn't, first of all, they didn't win in a landslide. And again, it's not half the country that voted for this insanity. And maybe Trump 2.0 will teach a lot of people to not stay home next time. I can't believe we still have to tell people that, but we do. Don't stay home. Get out and vote. Let your voices be heard. One thing that people says here in Tennessee all the time, I hear this comment in Tennessee so much. People say, it's just a red state. I'm doomed. Tennessee's never going to go blue. It ain't going to matter if I miss. Well, if we all think that way, we'll never make any change. There'll never be a change if we all say that. So, eventually, I think if enough people really got out and went to the special sessions that Governor Bill Lee had, I think if reasonable, sane people went and seen how those things are ran, they would love to line up and vote. Maybe we could see Tennessee start turning purple and then eventually blue. Don't know that it'll happen in my lifetime, but I think we could make it happen if enough of us stuck together and let our voices be heard. So let's just do that. Let's keep pushing forward, building up our communities. And again, thank you to the community that I've built here and to everyone that helps me get through my day. I truly do appreciate it. Everybody take care of your mental health. Don't fall back into any bad habits. Do everything in moderation. And let's hope that Pot for Potholes makes it through, because I think I could probably quit drinking forever if that was the case. I might enter like the Willie Nelson phase of my life, where I may even change. Well, I'm not going to change the bandana to red. Willie wears a red bandana. I'm not going that far, but you never know. I did have long hair once upon a time. I'm actually a redhead for real. Not anymore, but I was born one. And actually, when I had long hair, I put my hair in pigtails a couple of times like Willie. So, yeah, that was a long time ago, and I'll have to dig up a picture of that. It does exist. But I really appreciate all of you for being with me, and thank you so much to all the new members. Thanks to the team for helping get me through it, and we'll be back here Tuesday. Actually, wait, I forgot to plug something. I totally forgot this. Tomorrow night on Patreon, and it's a free show. You don't have to be... you don't have to pay to get in. There's no cover charges at the door. You just have to click and become a Patreon. You can become a Patreon free member, and then boom, you can watch me sit here at the desk and play music. And we won't be talking politics. We'll be playing music, and I'll be taking requests. And sometimes I've went 4 or 5 hours, and people are like, Brando, you really played that long? Trust me, after talking about all this news the way I talk about it every day, I need to blow off some steam. And so tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern, over on Patreon, we will be playing some music. And then we'll be back here Tuesday at noon. So thank you all so much for tuning in, and I will see you again tomorrow night, or I'll see you again Tuesday. Everybody take care.